Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, a Tasmanian speedboat racer has declared he's lucky to be alive after a dramatic crash that saw him taken to hospital. The 29-year-old was travelling at 230 kilometres an hour on Adelaide's Port Arthur River when he lost control and flipped, narrowly missing other competitors.
Rocketing along the Port River, experienced speedster Clayton Marks flies into trouble. The 29-year-old lost control during the Australasian Championship finals yesterday afternoon.
I remember the boat stepping sideways and going right very violently, and I was very concerned of the other competitors.
The race was immediately suspended while the Tasmanian driver was rescued and rushed to hospital.
I had a little bit of pain from the accident, and they checked me over and they were very happy with all my movements and strength.
Clayton knows he's lucky. 10 years ago, it would have been a different story. He says the boats now are much safer.
I suppose hitting a brick wall at 200 k's just shows how good the safety is. Obviously things do go wrong and it could have been worse.
Clayton was back by the river this morning cheering on fellow competitors. But just as the event was recovering from one close call, today there was another. Clayton's team, Patriot Racing, will now start an investigation into what went wrong here yesterday. They're combing the boat for any failures and reviewing footage of the crash.
We'll go back and have a look through things and see if there's any improvements we can do.
Mitchell Sariovsky, 7 News.
Tasmanians are being warned to brace for more cost of living pain. TasNetworks has proposed a 15% jump in its charges, which could force those on the brink to dig a little deeper.
Like most small business owners, power bills play heavy on Darren's mind.
You budget fairly heavily for all these things at the start of the year, expecting to be what the budget is, and then a new tax, if you like, comes along, so it's something else to find.
The weight of power costs could be heavier come July. TasNetworks are proposing a 15% price rise for poles and wires charges to households and small businesses. Network charges are about a third of the total bill, meaning the average household will face an annual increase of $113 and small businesses up to $299.
I just think it's important that the government levels with Tasmanians and explains what is the plan here, because if the plan is to continue to increase prices at 15% every year, then that's going to put incredible pressure onto Tasmanian households.
There's relief on the way, including the federal government's $1,300 rebate announced this week and $250 promised during the state election campaign.
As part of our renewable energy dividend, that also includes support for small businesses.
The rebate for business is $300, and this announcement takes away $299 from the average small business. So they've already wiped out the money that they're about to give.
The economic regulator decides the final price households and small businesses will be charged. That decision will be announced in June. Lily Thompson, 7 Tasmania News.
A Sprayton man has been charged with a string of offences after allegedly striking another man twice with his car. Police say the 42-year-old intentionally drove a ute into a 52-year-old man in Devonport at around midday yesterday after the pair were involved in a dispute. The alleged victim was taken to Launceston Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. He's in a stable condition. Investigations continue. A Kingston man remains in police custody after allegedly driving dangerously yesterday. Police say the 35-year-old was first spotted in Mornington before being seen driving on the wrong side of the road along the southern outlet at around midday. It's understood he almost caused an accident on the Kingston bypass. Police are calling for any witnesses. The Greens are calling on the state government to come clean on the real cost of the proposed AFL stadium on Hobart's waterfront. The Premier and Treasurer are being accused of failing to secure a GST exemption, potentially meaning the $240 million given to the state could be clawed back through reduced GST payments.
A massive failure of priorities. It's ripping Tasmanians off over and over again.
The Liberals say they've pushed Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers for an exemption, saying it's now time for the federal government to step up. David O'Byrne is taking action in the push for industrial manslaughter laws, introducing a bill to Parliament this week. The Franklin Independent calling it a mark of shame that Tasmania remains the only state without the laws or plans to bring them in.
Crucially important that we take this step to ensure that families are delivered justice when they lose loved ones.
Labor has said it plans to introduce a similar bill, while the government's yet to take a position. A boost to the My Home Shared Equity program will open it up to more Tasmanians. With nearly 400 people already taking advantage, the government says it's making the great Australian dream a reality.
Hammering away at what will soon be their family home.
Just always wanted to buy my children a house, so somewhere they can call a home.
The state government's My Home program is helping families like Ellie's, making the dream of home ownership a reality. Since the launch of the program 2 years ago, just under 400 Tasmanian households have been helped into home ownership.
I don't think without the My Home program it would be a possibility for me to be able to buy my own home with 3 bedrooms and a backyard for my kids to play around in. Super excited.
July 1, we'll be expanding the eligibility for the My Home Shared Equity program and also expanding the support available.
Tasmanians will be able to access up to $300,000 worth of help, bringing down deposits and mortgage repayments and reducing hip pocket pain for those looking to break into the housing market.
We're going to be upping the income limits by 25%. That'll mean more people will be able to get into their own home on just a 2% deposit.
With home ownership an increasingly difficult goal, Labor's backing the scheme.
Home ownership has become more and more difficult here in Tasmania over the course of the last 10 years, so anything that helps that we will support.
Support new buyers are welcoming with open arms. Rebecca Gaidaneris, 7 Tasmanian News.
After 5 days of Broadway's best hits, the curtain has closed on the Australian Musical Theatre Festival. The final day, no exception, a unique song fest set amongst an iconic backdrop, rounding out this year's production.
Life's a cabaret in the Cataract Gorge. Theatre buffs having their turn in the director's chair, choosing their own musical adventure, led by a darling diva of the Australian stage.
It riffs on the idea of those old books. You got to choose your own story and turn to this page and turn to that, but it's a musical version.
The interactive twist lifting the curtain, showcasing a whole new world.
Take musical theatre from just people dancing on a stage and turn it into something else.
The Gorge, just one of the unique locations to break into song this week. The festival out to prove there's no business like show business anywhere you turn.
It is stunning. What a backdrop to be able to sing. It's sort of a degustation of musical theatre. We're really pulling apart the medium.
Theatre royalty and the next generation of Broadway stars now dimming the stage lights after 5 days of musical wonders.
Whether you be a student or you be one of Australia's leading ladies, it is incredible to watch people share spaces and share stories.
The shows have been filled with laughter and applause.
Taking a final bow on Year 5, already promising number 6 will be a showstopper. Victoria Risto, 7 Tasmania News.
Things are going from bad to worse for the women's Chargers in the NBL1, losing their 6th game in a row today, going down to Knox Raiders 90-69.
Nice shot. Raiders are lights out at the minute from...
In the men's, Northwest Tasmania won a one-point nail-biter against the Kilsyth Cobras. It's the second win of their Victorian road trip, while the Chargers were handed their second loss, going down 91-80 against the Knox Raiders. The Kingborough Lions won an extra time thriller 4-2 over Launceston United, locking in their spot in the Women's Statewide Cup final.
Maintains possession, has a shot. What a goal!
The Lions will take on the Devonport Strikers, who had a thumping 5-0 win over South Hobart.
Shoots and puts it away beautifully.
In the Men's Cup, Greg Downs stepped up for the final minute for the Kingborough Lions.
Strikes it beautifully, and it's in the top corner!
The Lions will take on Glenorchy, who beat Devonport in extra time.
Good evening. Maximum temperatures were above average today by 3 degrees in Launceston, reaching 19, 17 in Devonport, Hobart 16, 15 in Burnie. Cressy reaching a high of 16, 17 in Flinders Island and 14 in Strawn. Patchy low cloud was seen mostly across the west of the state today, with high thickening cloud over the northwest. Further out shows low cloud over Victoria and South Australia, with the rest of the country remaining mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow, light showers are expected across the west and far south of the state, with patchy morning frost and fog inland. South to southwesterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 15 knots, reaching 20 knots in the east. Swells up to 3 metres in the west and south and up to 1 metre in the north. Tomorrow's forecast now, cloudy and 13 across Hobart and Dover, ooze 14. In the north, Launceston and Devonport mostly sunny, 14 in Scottsdale. Burnie and Stanley tomorrow, partly cloudy, 13 in Strawn. 14 in St Helens, cloudy in Swansea and 12 and partly cloudy in Ross. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now, Tuesday fine apart from light showers about the west. Wednesday patchy morning frost and fog with showers about the west. And Thursday showers about the west and south extending statewide during the day. Capital cities 27 and mostly sunny in Perth tomorrow. Adelaide a shower or two and 19 in Sydney. And currently Hobart 10 and partly cloudy, Launceston mostly clear and Devonport 11 and partly cloudy. And that's all in weather tonight, Lou. Time for me to get out of here to catch the last week of Farmer Wants a Wife up next.
I'll be watching it right there with you. Thanks for that, Jackie. That's all your news for now. Thank you for joining us tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.